The second part of the prednisone talk has run into some technical difficulties. I guess 17 minutes is a bit too long for YouTube. I don't know if it's going to be posted ultimately or not. I have found it there, but it won't play. I'm not really sure what the deal is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about another issue for people with Wegener's granulomatosis, and that's after you've gotten out of the hospital, your immune system has completely been stripped. You're dealing with anemia and low blood cell counts, both white and red. You're getting these $500 a shot Procrit shots every week to build up your bone marrow, so you can perhaps at some point in your life produce enough blood cells to sustain life. You're dealing with these things, and you're part of society. You have events you go to. Maybe you're a big concert goer. Maybe you go to church. Maybe you go to mosque. Maybe you go to temple. Maybe you go to the other temple. Who knows where you go, but you go into public places where there are other people with, you know, or, God help me, little kids. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I love little kids. Well, little kids are little germ bombs. Oh, God, keep them away from me. Well, I hate to tell you, but any animal that cleans its butt with its tongue, I don't want it touching me. Well, there are other issues for people who are dealing with immune systems that are a little bit compromised, and that's offices where you work, church, temple, whatever. We'll go through that again. And activities like, well, I'll just tell you, I mean, we're not supposed to bring up religion on this site that I'm going to post this on, as well as YouTube. But the whole thing is, I went to a religious ceremony tonight. It was ecumenical. There were Lutherans, there were Presbyterians, there were Episcopalians. It was at the Episcopalian Church. It followed the Episcopalian order of worship. Well, I was lost quite a bit at the time. And in my church, we stopped doing the pass the peace and peace be upon you. It's a nice gesture. It's a very Christian kind of thing to do. It's a very friendly Christian thing to do. But we concluded, especially during the flu season, that as few Presbyterians as there are in America now, we don't want to kill any more of them by giving them flu. So we dropped it. Well, there's another thing that we do in Christian churches, and I swear I took communion tonight in the Episcopalian way. I had no problem with the wafer, but thank God I was only the second person to drink from the chalice. I would have puked. I was sitting there thinking, oh, should I do it? Should I do it? And a friend of mine who's Episcopalian, he comes along and he says, oh, Doug, are you going to do communion? I'm sitting up in the front row because this ear is deaf. I'm deaf in the right ear because of the herpes zoster. I had media otitis, or otitis media, whatever it's called. There's an infection. It's a common infection in the ear, and I lost the hearing in that ear. Well, anyway, I'm sitting in the front because one, I don't know. I don't know the order of service. I'm Presbyterian. I don't know the liturgy. Well, the liturgy, I guess we're talking about. I'm not familiar with the process, so we'll just put it that way. Oh, dear God. Dear God. Don't take me tonight. But what do you do when you're in these situations? I tell you, you punt. I don't know if that expression translates into Australian, Canadian, English, and Great Britain. And did I say Canadian? I don't think I did. Vernacular, but you do the best you can. You have to be polite about it, but you have to make up your mind before you go. Be aware of your situation. I'm far enough into it that, well, I wasn't too upset when I got the second drink from the chalice, but I would have been if I'd been the 10th one, or even the 3rd one. I don't care how sacred the ceremony. Somebody wiping that chalice with a cloth does not get rid of the, well, let me get off of that. You wash your hands a lot. Sometimes you just have to, especially when you just start into this, you have to say to people, I'm sorry, but I have a suppressed immune system, and right now shaking hands is not going to work for me. If you have to blame the doctor too, it's more important that you preserve your health once you get some semblance of it back by reasonable precaution. My doctor said, no, don't be anal about it. Well, he's talking to Mr. Anal here in terms of how I approach things. I become obsessive about it. You already heard me. In my church, traditionally, they have a chalice and they dip the bread into it. It's called intinction. Well, you have these little old people, getting their dirty little, and children. Ooh, I'm sorry, but intinction. If I'm not one of the first 2 or 3 people at the chalice, I'm afraid I'm not going to do that. It's just a matter of self-preservation. And you're number one. You have to think about that all the time. You have to consider, is the situation life-threatening, or I'm a hugger. I'm here to tell you, any woman that comes around me, it's hug time. I love hugging. And there are a few men I'll hug too, but they're not. This is America. We're macho. We don't do that. But there's some of them who do, and I don't mind doing it if they're comfortable with it. I can get over my irrational fears about, I guess, guy cooties. I don't know what you'd call it. But that too can be a problem, hugging all these women. My mother had a 90th birthday party 5 years back, and I had just got out of the hospital about a month, and there were 70 women. There are easily 70 women. I hugged every one of them at least once. Well, within a week to 10 days after that, I had this infection in my throat that lasted for, I think it was 2.5 months. I just could not shake it. I just did the wrong thing. So pay attention to stuff like that. Be reasonable. Don't insult people if you can help it. Like I told a corporate person one time when I just got out of the hospital, I was really conscious of disease control, if you will, infection control. She wanted to shake my hand. Of course, it was the first time I met her. I said, I'm sorry, but you could kill me. I kid you not. She took it well. Of course, I never advanced in that company again. Take it where you will.